make sure my mic is working and the screen is working. Yes, it is. That's a good thing. So that's me. So Darrell Jordan-Smith, I'm responsible for essentially what Red Hat focus on in terms of telecommunications and focusing on that particular customer segment. It's great to be here today and the opportunity to speak with you all. I'm very actually humbled with all the other speakers that I'm having the opportunity to present with. And a lot of the things I'm going to talk about today, you've probably heard in different threads in different parts of the presentations moving forward. But I'd like to focus on what we at Red Hat look in terms of telecommunications and continuing the theme of being open. And really what we're trying to do at Red Hat is look at software-defined telecommunications and driving open innovation. And we believe that that is a unique value proposition that we present to our customers and what we see in the industry as overall. Particularly in the telecommunications space where innovation is required and needed and is accelerating in the way that all of us here in this room understand, but also how do we tap into those particular areas of the business in terms of driving that vision of the open telco. So what are we doing here today? So we're really here to talk about open source, and how that's going to drive and accelerate what we're trying to do in terms of unlocking that innovation. We're looking at how to standardize that, certify that, and support that environment in massive scale, hyperscale, as we've been talking. Drive that through experiments and getting people hands-on in terms of understanding the technology and through innovation and our labs and those environments and working with QCT, and actually provide innovative products for our customers. And we're really focused on that. I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little later on in my presentation, and then really team with QCT in terms of driving open standards both in hardware and in software to really unlock that innovation and that cycle of innovation that we're trying to drive towards as Red Hat in this marketplace with all of the other ecosystem of companies trying to drive the same thing. So open compute and the horizontal model for hardware. We see open compute, and everyone in the room, OCP, will understand that that's a set of open standards and how you build racks. And Quanta themselves have really, as you heard from Michael in the earlier parts of the presentation, are building everything from networking to compute to storage, and actually in that architecture allowing third-party products to be inserted into that overall architecture to really drive hyperconvergence to the next level. And innovation really lands in the cycle of that open platform. And at Red Hat, we kind of believe that innovation lies elsewhere, and with many, many thousands of projects in the open source community, tapping into that innovation is really what's going to take us to the next level of compute services that we see in the marketplace today, and actually realizing what IoT actually will deliver to us. So the journey, very similar with what Ray was talking about earlier, so it's another repeated slide almost, but we're talking about going from the first generation of Unix-based platforms to second generation with vBlock and hyper-converged, converged infrastructure, and now we're sort of getting into hyper-converged in the environment. How do we actually scale networking, compute, storage independently of each other to deliver that value that a lot of our customers want at massive scale? And we actually are really, really focused on looking at independent scalability, building out some of those key open source projects, whether it be in KVM or it would be in some of the Neutron components that we're trying to contribute towards in the open source community, and really adopt the idea of disaggregated computing. And I think you're going to hear from Canonical shortly a little bit about what they've done with OpenStack. And one of the things that we admire in terms of what they've built using some of the innovations around OpenStack with technologies like Juju in terms of managing and configuring those environments in massive scale for enterprises today, with QCT's RackGo X platform, the big platform, and that you've facilitated the marketplace with all the different workloads, is something that we're trying to at Red Hat also try and emulate, if you like, from a telecommunications perspective. So as you see vBlock and deployed in a converged infrastructure. We're trying to build out a hyper-converged infrastructure with QCT, using open standards within the open compute environment, open sources in the environment, with projects that we're driving around OpenShift, which is not just our PaaS environment, which will actually be our container-based environment. Looking at projects like OpenStack Cube in terms of how you might actually put OpenStack into a container and manage that using Kubernetes at massive scale for a lot of our telecommunications clients and customers, and really unlocking the power of containers actually promises in the marketplace as well. Leveraging our contributions in terms of OpenStack in this space, with many of the telecommunications companies who are looking to virtualize not just network functions, but also traditional IT workloads in public cloud environments. Working in the Ceph community in terms of accelerating the performance and the scalability to address some of the market requirements associated with driving storage and the demands that we've all seen earlier this morning around compute and storage, in terms of massive scale and the amount of data that would be required. And then really trying to drive that very openly in different standards bodies like OPNFE, putting use cases into the marketplace that people can really try and test this and move this not just in terms of a POC, but into a trial and into production. It's the production phase. We like to think that hopefully over the next couple of years we're going to see the industrialization, if you like, of how telecommunications companies actually virtualize their network, and working closely in upstream with companies like AT&T, China Mobile that you saw earlier on a previous presentation, very large hyperscale companies, to really visualize and make that a promise, a particular reality. So we have a number of technologies at Red Hat. We're not just the Linux company, we're also the OpenStack company, the PaaS company, we're also into containers. We have a huge business in terms of middleware, which will hopefully be a very strong extension to what Diane was talking around in terms of Snap, in terms of collecting telemetry, acting on that telemetry from an open source perspective and delivering that value and that open innovation back into the community in terms of what we're trying to drive here today. And we want to do it all in partnership. So we don't believe at Red Hat, certainly in the telecommunications space, that one vendor fits all. Customers want choice. They want to be able to buy different things from different people, and they want to configure and expand that independently of each other. So hyper-converged compute infrastructure is certainly the way forward as we see it, and our partnership with QCT is actually particularly important. So I like to finish my presentation on a takeaway slide. It's all about open software, open compute, coming together to deliver differentiated business value and meeting the future requirements, and in an open way, a cooperative way, a coopetitional orientated way, and actually building the building blocks to make this a true success, because we certainly see the momentum in the marketplace. So with that, I will finish, and thank you very much.